In 1987, Father Richard John Newhouse published a book that he called The Catholic Moment, in which he discussed the permanent values of the Church and how it fits in with American democracy. We're posed today with the fact that we have two vice presidential candidates who are Catholics, and also we have Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York giving a benediction at both of the coming conventions, as well as perhaps a contender that's Sister Simone Campbell of the Nuns on the Bus will be talking at the Democratic convention. Bill Donohue, can you tell us, is the Catholic Church a front organization for a worldwide Bolshevik revolution, or is it a dupe of the conservatives in the Republican Party?
Well, the Bolsheviks, of course, wanted to crush religion, so we would be opposed to them. And, of course, Catholics have always been Democrats up until about maybe 1972. And then the Democratic Party turned sharply left with George McGovern. Since that time, we've been somewhat politically homeless. We haven't really found a niche within the Republican Party, though we're moving closer to them. I'm talking about practicing Catholics. Non-practicing Catholics are almost indistinguishable from secularists in our society.
Now, this coming Democratic National Convention will have one of the nuns in the bus speaking, followed by a benediction by Cardinal Dolan. What does this represent for both the the Democratic Party and then Catholics at large?
Well, in terms of Cardinal Dolan, of course, he accepted a bid by the Republicans to close up the convention and have the benediction. He made it clear that he's not there to endorse anybody. He's going to issue a prayer. The Democrats finally came to their senses and realized we ought to get the big guy as well. And, of course, he said yes, because he's a man of principle. He's not involved in power politics. Sister Simone Campbell represents almost nobody. The great story about nuns on the bus is that there weren't any. To be exact, there were only 2 nuns out of 55,000 in the United States of America who were on that bus for any length of time. There was never any more than 6 nuns on the bus at any one time. So this is basically a fraud. This nun is a dissident nun. She disagrees with the Catholic Church. She's been reprimanded by the Vatican, and her order, this group network, has been in bad step with the Vatican for decades. So what they're doing, though, this will be good for MSNBC, because they'll say, wow, we got this progressive nun here. Yes, there are a few who are basically ready for assisted living or 1 foot away from it, who have turned their back on the Catholic Church's teachings for a long time. They don't represent most nuns. The nuns on the bus was a media fraud. And the Democrats, if they want her, fine. They certainly wouldn't have the Sisters of Life. They certainly wouldn't have Sister Mother Assumpta Long and other wonderful nuns who have done the yeoman work. They're going to find the ones who are in opposition to the teachings of the Catholic Church. Those are the ones they like in the Democratic Party.
And the fact that Catholics seem to be so prominent in the two conventions, does this mean that it's the two parties are battling for a middle ground that's largely occupied by Catholics?
Well, I think that's right. I mean, overall, you can take a look at the past several elections, actually go back decades. The Protestants always vote for the Republicans. The Jews always vote for the Democrats. Catholics? Well, they always voted for the Democrats up until 72, and now they can be had, so to speak, because they are the wild card. They're the swing vote. And whoever gets the Catholic vote, with one exception, over the last 25 years, has won the White House. Again, though, if you disaggregate, practicing Catholics, the ones who actually believe in the teachings of the Catholic Church, go to Mass regularly, who actually contribute to the Church and keep it alive, they are definitely moved toward the Republican Party because they do not believe in the idea that it's okay to kill a child in the womb. They do not believe in the idea of 2 men getting married. They do believe in school vouchers. Those Catholics who go to church at Easter and Christmas and have 1 foot out the door, of course, they're like the mainline Protestant denominations and secular Jews. They don't really hold to the tenets of their faith, and so certainly they've been seduced by secularism.
Can you draw a distinction between the fact that Cardinal Dolan is giving a benediction at the Democratic Convention, but there's also a Muslim Juma that's being held just before the opening of the convention?
Well, this would be their way, the Democrats, of saying they were the party of inclusion. We want to keep everybody represented. Look, there have been a lot of studies done over the last 20 years. The Democratic Party is the least of the two parties in being religion-friendly. They have thoroughgoing secularists who have dominated the party. The Catholics, who were a mainstay of the decision makers in the Democratic Party, essentially were booted in the 1970s when they changed the rules through the McGovern-Fraser Commission and other kinds of changes. So the Catholics are not exactly welcome there. Reaching out to Muslims, well, that's what this president does. This is a president who says, when I go to speak before Georgetown University, they had better put IHS under a drape. They had better put the crucifix under a drape. We don't want to have any religious symbols in public. However, what about the idea of building a mosque at Ground Zero? That's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Look, we know where he's coming from.
Can it still be said that among Americans, the more frequent their attendance at their temple or church of choice, that it's more likely that they'll vote Republican in a presidential election?
There's no question about it. If you take a look at traditional Catholics, practicing Catholics, and along with evangelical Protestants, church-going Jews, or I should say temple-going Jews in the synagogue, certainly more of the Orthodox persuasion, you will clearly see a preference for Republican policies, largely because of the life issues and sexuality issues. So I think that remains true. There's no question about that.
Thanks very much. We've been speaking to Bill Donohue, the president of the Catholic League based in New York City. I'm Martin Barrios reporting for Sparrow News. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Thank you so much.